Hey, my name is Connor, and in this brief video, I'm going to be explaining the basics of solar energy. My hope is that this is helpful for anyone out there who's considering going solar for their home or business, or just has any general questions about the industry itself. I got interested in solar because I wanted to help protect the environment and do my small part, but also because I wanted to help homeowners save money and become energy independent. Now, if you are a homeowner and you're interested in a free quote or just had any questions, I'll leave my contact info at the end of the video, so feel free to reach out. I'm also happy to put you in touch with anyone else in the industry who I think might be better able to help answer any of your questions. So with that, thanks for joining me, and I hope you watch till the end. Enjoy.
All right, well, first of all, welcome. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you are probably exploring solar energy, probably for your home. Regardless of where you are in that journey, I hope that this helps answer any questions. Maybe a weird YouTube algorithm just led you here. Regardless, I think this should be informative and interesting. But yeah, thanks for being here, and this shouldn't take longer than, I don't know, 20 minutes. So let's just jump right into it. So what is solar energy? Like I said, you're probably at different stages of the solar exploration. My goal here is really just to explain the basics and to help you see if making the switch to solar actually makes sense for you. It's going to be different for everyone. I'm going to share an overview of solar, the process of going solar, and then again, leave my contact info at the end if you have any questions. By the end of this, I hope you have a better understanding of solar energy and whether or not it makes a good fit for you and your home. If not, that's totally fine. Maybe you'll own a home in the future that makes more sense. But at the very least, I hope you will gain some knowledge about solar energy. Before we actually jump into the presentation, this is a presentation I typically give to homeowners after I've spoken to them on the phone. These are some of the questions that I like to ask folks. So perhaps you've already seen a solar proposal and you've talked to a solar consultant. You might have been asked similar questions like, why are you interested? Where in the process are you currently? What prevented you from moving forward previously? Again, this is just to kind of help give the solar consultant a better idea of kind of where you're at and what your ultimate goals are. Some questions that you might be wondering yourself. I imagine there are plenty of different questions out there. These are just some of the big ones. Again, my goal here is just to provide basic information, and I hope to answer at least some of these questions. If I don't, feel free to reach out to me at the end so I can hop on the phone with you and answer any additional questions you may have. Really quick, I just want to cover the basics of solar energy just so you have a solid foundation of understanding moving forward, just kind of for the remainder of the presentation and life, I suppose, because solar is not going anywhere, folks. So let's just talk a little bit about how solar works and what's included in a normal system. Solar honestly is pretty simple. You're using solar panels to harness the energy from the sun and convert it to electricity. The basic components are the panels and the racking systems, the inverter that converts your energy from direct current to alternating current, which is what we use in our homes. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes there might be a battery included if you want storage, but the basic components are really just kind of the panels and the inverter. Net metering, that's a term that folks out there who have been exploring energy for residential purposes should probably be maybe not familiar with, but at least have heard. Basically, it's just a billing mechanism that credits this solar energy system that you, the owner of the solar panels, generate with your electricity to the grid. So for example, if a residential customer has a solar system on their roof, it's likely going to generate more electricity than the home uses, obviously during daylight hours. That extra electricity is then sold, I guess, to the utility company in the form of a credit that is then used to buy energy from the utility when needed. Customers are then only billed for their net energy use, and the amount that they receive as a credit then kind of depends on the net metering conditions offered by their utility. Now, this is different in every state. I live here in Colorado, but again, feel free to reach out if you wanted more specific information about net metering and the different credit systems in your particular location. The average residential solar system is about 5 to 7 kilowatts, but there are many different factors that impact the optimal size for a system, including a detailed look at 12 months of prior electricity usage and your desired energy offset. Obviously, everyone's going to be a little bit different here. The goal is typically to generate as much or all of the energy that you are currently renting from the utility company with energy from your solar system. However, not every home can accommodate this due to a variety of factors like the size of the roof, maybe the roof layout, or tree coverage. And so instead, folks might only be able to offset maybe like 90 or 80% of their electricity consumption with solar. Now, that's really not a problem, and I can kind of get into this later, but also worth keeping in mind where our solar panel is typically installed. They're generally on the roof, but they can be installed with a racking system on the ground. This is known as a ground mount system. If you don't want to touch your roof, this is a good option for folks. And the ideal direction is generally facing south or southwest or southeast, and that's just because of the angle of the sun, at least here in North America, which provides the greatest value or productivity, essentially, with the panels themselves. This is going to be different for every home, obviously depending on the roof layout, the trees, surrounding area. But yeah, just wanted to give you a brief understanding of systems size and layout. Okay, so now that I briefly covered the what, I just kind of want to get into the why for solar. Now, I definitely recognize that going solar is a big decision for any homeowner. So I would just want to make sure those of you interested watching this who are making this switch to solar or considering it at least feel comfortable with the why. And I will do that by breaking it down into three main topics. There are a ton of reasons why a lot of people are going solar. I mean, more than ever before. 2022 was a record year with people switching to solar. 2023 as well. And it's really an exciting time. I mean, if you walk around any residential community, you're going to see panels going up pretty much any day that weren't there the previous week. So why are people making this choice? Well, the real question is like, why aren't they, or why aren't you? There are many reasons to go solar, but in brief, like here are kind of like the most obvious four reasons: cost, home value, environmental impact, and incentives. First and foremost, cost. Now, when you choose to go solar, you're essentially just controlling your energy costs, which in an environment of consistently increasing energy rates is very important. It's the same reason that folks buy property instead of renting. Electricity costs, much like your rent, will never go down. They never have. So why not just remove yourself from the grip of the utility providers who are renting their energy to you and just pay a flat rate? Home value, second reason. There are many studies that show that solar panels actually add value to your home. They're an asset, which is why I definitely encourage you to just Google it for yourself and just kind of do your own research, just so you don't take my word for it. But I just want to kind of drill down the point that solar is an asset that you're adding to your home, not a liability. Now, solar is one of the smartest home upgrades that folks can make nowadays because it saves you money immediately and adds value, like I said, to your home for the future. And I'll get a little bit more into this later and what would happen if you sell your home and how that kind of transfer process works. The third reason, the one, like I mentioned at the top, that's most important for me is the environment. Solar is a tangible way that you can actually make a difference. You know, by going solar, you're substantially reducing your carbon footprint starting on day one. Now, compared to other renewable energy sources, solar is easily the cheapest and most environmentally friendly. It's also nice when this choice for benefits the environment and your pocketbook. So it's honestly like an easy way that you can reduce your carbon footprint. Again, assuming you're a homeowner. Fourth reason folks are making a switch are the incentives. There are a lot of incentives in place right now, varies by state for sure, but as solar is becoming more popular, these are going to kind of decrease and disappear. So I encourage folks who are kind of on the fence to take advantage while they exist, because you can leverage those incentives and save a lot of money on taxes and reduce the overall cost of your system that might not be in place in the near future. So with regards to utility prices, like I mentioned, we've kind of become accustomed to just habitually paying our energy bills each month, and we don't really notice how they're steadily increasing. At least I don't or didn't. And in fact, over the last 20 years, utility prices have nearly doubled. But just because these prices are increasing, that doesn't mean that you have to be beholden to those rate increases. And that's because solar gives you a great opportunity to actually control your energy costs and protect your family from rising rates over time. All right, so now that you understand how solar works and the many benefits, let's talk about why now. The reality is we are sort of in a golden age for solar. I mentioned it a little bit previously, but there's a reason that adoption of solar is just kind of skyrocketing everywhere. Some folks ask me if they should wait and go solar, and the answer really is no, because every month that you wait is another month that you're just paying higher energy bills that you don't have to, or that particular incentives are getting closer to expiring. So I just briefly want to show you a few more reasons why now is the perfect time to make the switch. One of the big reasons is the federal tax credit, which you can easily take advantage of. You might have heard this referred to as the federal solar tax credit or the investment tax credit. Basically, this just allows you to deduct 30% of the cost of installing a solar energy system from your federal taxes. This applies to both residential and commercial systems, and there is no cap on its value. This is a tax credit, not a deduction, which means you can take the amount directly off your tax payment versus deducting it from your taxable income. I encourage you to talk to your tax advisor if you had any more specific questions about your tax liability or how you can take advantage of this. I can't really provide much more information. Like I said, there really is no better time to go solar than right now. The cost of panels have decreased significantly and have basically reached a point of parity where any additional drop in price won't really be enough to offset the cost of waiting to actually make the switch. The 30% federal tax credit is also likely not going to increase, and it's set to expire as well. So again, now's the time to take advantage. All right, some frequently asked questions that I typically get. What happens if you sell your house? Now, one of the things that I think holds a lot of people back is their concern about not necessarily living in a place long enough. If you choose to finance your system, you'll simply just hand off those monthly payments to the next homeowner who would need to just basically contact the utility company and initiate that switch. Alternatively, you could just pay off the remainder of the loan and then transfer that cost to the homeowners during the sale. It's really kind of up to you. If you pay outright in cash, you don't obviously have to worry about this. Whether you're planning to sell your home, just remember that going solar, again, adds value to your home. So it's something that new homeowners are looking for, and you can kind of incorporate that into the cost when selling your property. Also, to kind of reiterate, that recent study from the National Renewable Energy Lab here in Colorado shows that homes sell for about 4 to 6% more on average when they have solar compared to homes that don't, and they sell faster as well. And again, it's not really a surprise when you think about it, because you're essentially passing along to the buyer an asset on their roof that translates to lower energy costs that they don't need to worry about going through the process of actually selecting and installing. So you're just making it easier for them to own an energy efficient home from the start. Again, feel free to do your own research. The U.S. Department of Energy, the Department of Housing and Urban Development have other studies that make pretty strong cases for the value of solar on a home. So yeah, definitely check those out if you're at all curious or skeptical. Some other FAQs, questions that I hear. Can panels withstand hail and wind? Simply put, yes. As with any outdoor equipment, they are subject to all the elements: rainstorms, snowstorms, wind, hail. Good news is today's solar panels are made from very durable materials that are designed to survive in the elements for over 25 years. High quality panels are more likely to be longer lasting, honestly, than your roof. So if a hailstorm is severe enough to damage your panels, then your roof is totally going to be shot as well. And in this case, you would just kind of make a claim with your homeowner's insurance to get new solar panels and a new roof at the same time. Different companies also have different policies as well for replacing damaged panels. As for wind, this kind of depends on the construction of the system, but panels are generally able to withstand wind gusts of up to 120 miles per hour. I think it's worth noting that there was a community in Florida that was powered entirely from solar that actually withstood numerous hurricanes in 2022 despite widespread damage to surrounding communities. Again, encourage you to Google it. So I think if they can kind of stand a hurricane with all their solar still intact, I think you'll be fine. All right, second question, how long do panels last? Nowadays, they have an average longevity of about 40 years, but they actually last longer, just at lower efficiencies, obviously. Now, advancements in design materials and installs have increased the lifespans of solar panels, making them a great long-term investment. It's also worth noting that solar panels have no moving parts, really, meaning that any defect is, rare, and there are very few components that could actually break over time. All right, in terms of maintenance, again, panels have come a long way in terms of making maintenance easier. For the most part, just rain or snow is going to do a good job cleaning off the panels, so you don't need to really lift a finger. If you live in an area with a higher than average amount of smog or dust, you can just take your hose and spray those panels down to keep them producing at the highest amount of efficiency as possible. Do you need to buy a battery? Honestly, the answer to this kind of depends on you. I would say no, not necessarily, unless you have a different situation. For those, on grid-tied systems, which is the vast majority of folks, your power is going to be shut off in the event of a power outage, and that's just to protect utility workers who are working on the lines who don't want to get shocked, obviously, in which case a battery would allow you to continue drawing power to your home in that case. But again, batteries are not entirely cheap, and they can only supply your normal energy load for a couple of days, depending on how many batteries you have. So if that's something that's very important to you, definitely look into it. And there are many different options of batteries as well. But generally speaking, for most folks, it's not something I typically recommend if cost is a major factor. And also, it's worth noting you can always install one later. It's not a decision you need to make right up front. All right, is my home even eligible? Now, obviously, this kind of depends on everyone's situation. Solar companies have come a long way and work pretty hard to find pretty dynamic solutions that work for each individual home. Whether there are obstacles like trees or shading or gloomy weather, those can honestly be overcome pretty easily. And a solar unit really only needs to have about 6 hours of sunlight per day to actually make it cost effective. Again, to find out if your specific home qualifies, reach out to me and I'd be happy to do a little investigating and answer that question for you. All right, maybe you have an HOA. Can they prevent you from going solar? Simply put, the answer is no. There's a federal right to light law that prohibits them from prohibiting that. However, some HOAs do try to kind of work around that by requiring that solar customers kind of make modifications to their system, which might unreasonably raise costs, decrease efficiency. But again, there are a lot of laws that try to kind of fight this, and it's a case-by-case basis that I'm happy to help you explore. Are there any upfront costs? Nope, not unless you plan on buying your system in cash. Otherwise, if you're going to finance it, as many homeowners do, you're going to pay nothing upfront until the system is actually up and running, at which point you're just switching your payments essentially from your utility provider to paying off that loan instead. All right, so that's kind of the end of the basic education of solar section. Now I just kind of want to really frame the choice that you have, because you really do have two options. First being you stay with the status quo and continue to rent your energy and pay, again, consistently higher unpredictable rates. Here in Colorado, utility rates raise around 9% a year. Again, different everywhere. Or you can choose to go solar and start saving immediately on day one, again, with no money out of pocket, and adding value to your home, again, on day one. Again, you're going to be locking in the cost of your energy that you produce and avoid continued rate hikes and benefits from tax incentives. So obviously, it is a great option for any businesses out there who want a little bit more stability with their finances. And of course, you're contributing to a more energy efficient future and helping get us off our reliance to very outdated and frankly dirty utility infrastructure. So there's that. All right. So, like I said, I'm sure I didn't answer everything, but I hope that this was informative. If I missed anything and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me there. There's my contact information. If you want to move forward with solar or just receive a personalized quote customized to your home, again, reach out. I'd be happy to get on a Zoom or a call. Either way, thanks for watching this video. I'm happy to share any additional information or connect you with folks Even if you're just looking to improve the efficiency of your home, I got a guy. Again, if you were led here by a random YouTube algorithm, thanks for paying attention, and I hope you learned something. Otherwise, best of luck to everyone out there, and thanks again for listening.
All right, well, that concludes the presentation. I hope I answered all of your questions. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there. My presentation did not include all of it. So if you did have any more questions or you just wanted to chat solar or get a free quote, like I said, feel free to reach out and I am happy to help. Otherwise, thanks for listening and good luck.